that will take us to our preview. MJF against Roderick Strong. We will see if MJF finds himself in his usual opening up the pay-per-view slot for this Roderick Strong match. Yeah, we've gone over this a lot. I think this is as much a kind of giving us some kind of guidance of what is the next step for this program. That is this just MJF destroys this guy and we're holding off on him and Adam Cole for next month. Do you shoot an angle with Adam Cole? I am not clamoring for anyone to turn on anyone. Not Kyle, not Adam, not Strong, not MJF. I don't need any more turns in this saga involving these guys.
Now, if Adam Cole put on the devil mask and was more evil while still somehow maintaining a babyface aura,
oh my God.
Would you consider
the
that
babyface devil? Yeah, I didn't think about that one. And they're in New Jersey. The New Jersey devil himself, Adam Cole.
Right.
I mean, how...
You bring up a good point. The fact that it's in New Jersey, I mean, we said this entire time, if it was Adam Cole versus MJF, I think there was a huge chance that this crowd would be booing Adam Cole and cheering MJF. Does that risk
If he runs out on Saturday and gets involved, like, he very well may get booed by this crowd. I think, like, no, it's not Long Island, but it's pretty adjacent that you're going to have a very strong MJF
He won the
crowd.
Championship, or at least didn't he win the championship at Full Gear in Jersey?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's essentially a home crowd for MJF. You know, I would even say against
and it is a semi-return as well. Like, he has been kind of away for, 6 weeks.
I would even say, like, against Roderick Strong, there's a strong chance, no pun intended, that MJF gets cheered. So I'm sure they're preparing for that. And how are they going to play this story out while maybe understanding some of those potential reactions?
I think MJF wins this match. That would be the...
Yes,
I think
MJF
see Roderick
wins.
Strong winning this one.
It's possible. Like, again, Cole should get involved in some way. And if Cole ends up costing MJF the match, I would hate that. But it's not something I completely write out.
Jay White against Hangman Page. I thought their match last month was amazing. I thought they had such great chemistry together. I think that's going to be just similar this time around. The interesting part is, Hangman Page, you had him lose last month, correct?
Page? Yes.
Yes,
he lost.
Page lost.
Page has never beaten Jay White.
And you do have the unlikelihood that Jay White would win a second match.
I don't think so. They've been making such a big deal of Page having never beaten Jay White that I don't know if it achieves much to just reinforce that. Just so they could pay it off later. I don't think the crowd would care that much later. It's also kind of strange to have a baby face be the one to taunt the heel for never being able to beat him. Like, it kind of makes me want to cheer for Hangman Page to finally achieve this task that he's not been able to achieve.
Can you see either of these guys being in contention for challenging Moxley?
No.
In the near future?
No, John, because Page is a heel. Jay White is a babyface, but he's got nothing at all to do with this takeover. Jay White's not even the type of character that you think would care about AEW being taken over. He's certainly made no mention of it. So I don't see how he plays a part in this Death Rider storyline at all. I can instead see both of these two being involved in the C2, going after that championship instead.
Yeah, that's possible. And
that's kind of the problem with this storyline. It's like you have to get everybody on board in order for it to feel like a company takeover. And there are just certain characters that just feel like they don't.
They're on island. Essentially, the Death Riders thing is like an island unto itself. You've got kind of your key people attached to it in Darby, Cassidy, and Daniel Garcia. But beyond that, it's like everyone else is just going about their own business. And I think that just kind of lacks. I would like to see the winner of this just advance, and it's like there is some elevation for someone here that if Jay White wins 2 matches against Hangman Page, that should be worth something in theory.
Yeah, they could. And thank you, Chapman, for the clarification. The Hangman and Jay are actually 4-1. Page beat him in the Owen, thanks to Christian. So I guess that's the technicality.
4-way tag title match for the AEW tag titles. Private Party, the Outrunners, Kings of the Black Throne, and the Acclaimed.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed by the follow up that they've given Private Party since that title win. Like because they've had to set up all these tag teams around them. They've given Private Party very little focus as like characters. There's so much drama leading up to them. Like, will they be breaking up? In the lead up to the title win, but then they've just kind of been, not really doing anything. As a quick way to build up a set of challengers, I thought that these matches were perfectly fine. Do you see anybody? Well, the Outrunners are incredibly hot. I think this is their first pay-per-view match, so like a lot of people online at least are excited about that. But can you see any significant events happening in this match?
The most I'll hope for is that they have a good match. I mean, you are teasing the stuff with Bowens and Caster. Always got to be teasing tension involving partners, so there's always that potential. No, I think this will be fine.
It's a first major title defense for Private Party.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be taking the belts off Private Party. There's no reason to, and I think you just want to have a entertaining match with these four. I could see the only kind of story stuff coming out of this is if you continue to kind of push, Max Caster and Bowens should probably be, it's kind of like the New Day. Like they're breaking apart from each other. And now Max Caster is kind of eyeing the business card that MVP has handed to him and whether it's time to break things off. So I could see one of them taking the fall, maybe Bowens, and Caster is led to contemplate if he needs this guy.
Of all of them, I would say one of the Acclaimed would be the most likely, because I certainly don't think it would be the Kings of the Black Throne. And I don't necessarily think it should be the Outrunners right now either.
Okay. And do we get a
retirement
post-match celebratory standing ovation for Malachi Black?
One of them will think.
Will someone get on the mic and just
them for the match? Yeah.
Just thank you so much for the match. Mercedes Monae and Kris Statlander. As soon as that car was introduced, I was somewhat checked out of this. I don't think this has been the greatest lead up to this match. That said, I think this is going to be one of Mercedes' better matches in AEW. I think Statlander she has been able to get, I think, the best out of so many of the various women in the women's division. And I'm hoping that you have a really engaged crowd. I'm hoping for that for this whole night, because I think that's one of the things of the secret sauce that has been lost in AEW week to week programming is just a lot of these smaller crowds, and you're not getting that over the top boisterous heat for a lot of these matches that I really hope this pay-per-view with I think they're at over 8,000, that I hope it's just a super hot crowd and benefits a match like this, for instance.
Yeah, I actually think Monae has quite a bit to prove even in ring for these pay-per-view performances. They've been pretty inconsistent to the point where I would say maybe more disappointing than not. Let's recap. Between the Britt Baker match, and then what was our last one? I'm trying to just remember even. We got was it the Amanada match? What? No, sorry. Was it Sheeta? Was it Sheeta All Out? Yeah, the Sheeta match.
Yes,
at All Out. Yeah,
that was
both of them. I maybe somewhat disappointing. So I think she has a lot to maybe come back with here, and I think Kris Statlander is a really excellent opponent for her to hopefully this time live up to expectations. But certainly creative has hurt this storyline, and even regardless of Mercedes Monae and I would say what have been kind of weak performances, Kris Statlander, I mean, what the hell? This has been such a weird babyface turn, and somehow just kind of pushing her towards title contention right away after it without her feeling really hot enough to deserve a babyface title challenge against Monae, I think has been really tough for her. But again, if they have a strong match, maybe we'll forgive a lot of it.
Yeah, I don't totally dismiss Statlander winning this, but I think it's highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Swerve Strickland and Bobby Lashley, I do think Bobby Lashley has to come in and have a really big performance here, and he's got a great opponent to do it, and I would think that you're not going to beat Bobby Lashley in this first match of where things are going. But yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting one. This could be Bobby Lashley, very, very good performer, but you look at this card, like it's a very high bar, and we're going to see what they have and how long this one goes too. Like Swerve is used to having like lengthy, big pay-per-view matches.
I'm interested to see if we get any sort of new wrinkles in Bobby Lashley now that he's outside of a WWE system. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if like he's the type that I think would change his game so much at this point. But with Swerve, like with arguably maybe a different style in AEW, or at least like a different set of expectations in some ways, we might get something different here. But I'm excited to see what Swerve Strickland can do with like sort of an archetype, like a Bobby Lashley. So creatively, I'm interested in this, and yeah, the outcome I feel like is pretty easy to predict for this one.
Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia, depending on Daniel Garcia releasing this man from his own custody for the TNT Championship. I mean, at least we're at this point where the match, hopefully, Jack Perry is one that he has been given this. He's had this championship. I wouldn't say he's like lit the world on fire yet. But Daniel Garcia, I think, is this is a chance for these two, I think, to really go, hopefully show out and have, a big performance here on this show as well. And this is one where I could very well see a title change because Jack Perry, unfortunately, is in this role where it's like the Elite has pretty much been dropped, but he's like the remnant of the Elite that's on television. Like we don't even have Okada like in a present story before the Continental Classic. So it's just him that's attached to this, what feels like this dropped storyline. And maybe you just start fresh and put the belt onto Daniel Garcia, who does have momentum behind him.
Feels that way to me. Yeah. It feels like this is just kind of like killing the last remnants of the Elite, and Garcia is a good person to benefit from it. I mean, I am somewhat intrigued to see like how they continue to tell the story of Garcia possibly turning to the dark side. Like I imagine the outcome of this match to be something like where Perry loses, but maybe gets the last laugh at the end because it required Garcia to dig into a side of him that he didn't want to dig into. Sure. Yeah, exactly. One of those. Maybe he even keeps the championship like in its current state, like the sort of bloodstained one.
Maybe he commandeers the bus.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. Maybe instead of a scapegoat, we get a scape buffalo. I'm sorry. But yeah, Garcia has a major role to play as part of this like bigger Death Rider story. And there's a lot of speculation that he is maybe inauthentic in how much he wants to save AEW and instead may actually go heel at some point. So we'll see how this plays into all of that.
Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. I think this has been the best built-up program on the whole show. And looking at this, like there's a lot of depth on this card. I think this is going to be total killer match. I think this is going to be really capping off like this incredible rise of Kyle Fletcher. And I think if we were to go back at the beginning of the year and you were to isolate like who are going to be the breakout stars on AEW/ROH, because this guy really wasn't even in the mix in AEW, I don't think too many people were putting Kyle Fletcher on their short or long list. And to me,
not this soon.
Like you compare him to like a Jack Perry or just, several of these performers. It's like, dude, Kyle Fletcher has just, he's had an unbelievable year, and this was without a tag partner. And this guy stepped up in such a big way. And, these two are poised to have, the show stealer on Saturday.
If he wasn't sharing the stage so much with Will Ospreay, I almost feel like we'd be able to like focus on like how great Kyle Fletcher is alone himself. But like the fact that he's not just hanging with Ospreay, but like I think has been a great scene partner throughout this entire thing. Like, both in their tag matches, both together and against each other, and also just on the microphone.
Oh, the promos have been,
it's been incredible.
Like, just like that to me has been as impressive as anything.
Yeah. So I'm expecting this to steal the show as match of the night, as Will Ospreay matches usually tend to be. He is Mr. Pay-Per-View, as he's trying to proclaim himself to be after all. Who wins?
I mean, in this one, I really don't think they want to have. It all depends really in what who's involved in this Continental Classic. I I don't think Osprey's at this point like where it's a killer if he lost, and it really establishes Kyle Fletcher if he wins in this big one. But this is kind of the return for Osprey. He's coming for revenge, and I don't think you want to necessarily just
unless they want to prolong the story.
Yeah,
which I could see them doing.
Yeah, they very well could. I could see either one. I guess you lean Osprey in this one, but there's a lot of arguments for Fletcher that he could benefit a lot more, and this is hardly going to be any issue for an Osprey loss.
I lean Fletcher. Actually, and I think we maybe can expect Mark Davis to play some sort of role if he gets involved.
That's a good point.
Finish.
Yeah, he could get involved in this somehow.
In the time since we've recorded this video, they've also added Ricochet versus Konosuke Takeshita. Of course, we should also mention the Championship celebration with Mariah and Mina Shirakawa, as well as the only 0-hour match announced so far: Big Boom AJ versus QT Marshall.
And then Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy for the AEW Championship. I mean, I think there's two separate things here. I think these two should have a phenomenal main event. I don't know. I'm really curious how this show performs pay-per-view wise, because it's a very deep card, but a lot of it is you're focused on the main event, and it's just I just don't know if people look at this and this is going to be much above like 100,000 would be like the estimate for this.
What did the Danielson retirement do?
Last month? I can look up what the estimate is.
Well, anyway, I mean, I consider this a pretty drastic drop from it. I think Orange Cassidy, for as good as he's been in this particular feud, I think is still he's still somebody who needs to be established as a main eventer. He's just not really perceived as a, certainly not a Danielson level type of guy, not even a Swerve or Osprey level guy, in my opinion, right now. So we do have like some precedents for this. Like they had their match at All Out. I don't know if you have those numbers out there, but can you expect maybe this to maybe match that, even though that we're in very different eras of AEW right now?
I'm seeing this at like the All Out level, which was around, I believe, like 100,000 was like the rough estimate. Like we're not getting like concrete numbers
for their match at All Out together, like years ago.
Oh, sorry, I was talking about the most recent All Out from.
Okay, well, that might be a better comparison. Yeah, at this point, but yeah, like I think the match should be amazing. As most matches involving these two are. I think Jon Moxley wins this one. But Orange Cassidy maybe receives a standing ovation at the end of it for maybe how well he did. But come on, the Death Rider story isn't ending just with this first Orange Cassidy match.
So the WrestleNomics estimates, last year's All Out, which had Moxley and Orange Cassidy, that did around 95,000 buys. And Full Gear last year did 131. I don't see this one doing 131.
What was the main event?
That had the death match with Hangman Page and Swerve.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then looking at the last couple of shows, the estimates again, All Out, following All In, did 100,000. Wrestle Dreams estimated at only 105,000 with the Danielson retirement.
Okay.
Like I'm looking at this show as kind of closer to that, maybe a little above 100, but kind of in that range. Like I don't feel this has the hook of like Danielson's career on the line for as deep as a show as this is, but.
I think I might lower my expectations then, I feel like that Danielson number 105 is maybe more of a temperature check on just the audience's feelings towards an AEW right now. And if a Danielson is only getting a 105, I don't know how well a Cassidy versus Moxley match would do. So
I think everyone expects Moxley stays with the title or keeps the title. I think that, the handling of Orange Cassidy, I think it's very important. You don't want to just kind of, he fails and then he goes off TV, or he's just, you need a follow-up plan with a Cassidy in this type of a role.
You need this to have changed him somehow. Does he keep this character where he just like talks a whole lot?
What if he starts wearing darker jeans?
How much darker can you get than black? Oh, you're joking.
Yeah, we've already gone to that well.
If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.